Knuckle bolstering is one of those terms you don't hear a lot, but it actually is one of those services that makes a significant difference in the way the piano feels. Specifically, that nice little bump in the grand piano right after that let off and that drop, you feel that nice little bump of aftertouch because that jack is just kind of grazing over that, impacting that knuckle and having that sense of completion outside of that escapement. But what happens over time is this. Come on, track it. There we go. The knuckle itself, the white portion of it becomes flattened. And so we have this flattened felt that is then wrapped around, by this buckskin. And we have this flatter surface area as opposed to what it should be, a nice rounded surface area like this. This is what you want to see. So when you're looking at your parts and everything, looking at your grand piano that you're working on, you want to see a nice kind of just solid circle right here. Just a nice round knuckle. Hold on just a second. I'm going to turn off that AC. Now, the problem is over time, because the jacks are constantly butting up against this and pushing it, these knuckles will get flat over time. And because that jack then has to travel over more of this surface area, it will have this kind of chunky, weird feeling to it. And it will be fairly inconsistent. You'll just have this weird, it's almost like it never really achieves a good aftertouch. It doesn't achieve a good drop because, again, this has flattened so much. You can kind of see the comparisons. It's flattened so much, so there's so much more surface area, so we don't really get this escapement from it. It just moves alongside of it. And so instead of replacing the entire hammer, shank, and the whole flange assembly, shanks and knuckle, which you can do, you can replace just the knuckle. Knuckle bolstering is another service that you can do. And it usually takes a couple hours, and it makes a huge difference and adds years and years of life to the piano itself. Questions about that so far? Pretty basic.
I think your mic is okay. It's kind of, yeah, there's something going on with the mic.
Good.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Yeah, you had a loose cable or something.
You're good now.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So any questions about that, what I brought up so far about the knuckles?
David, is it a matter of effort, the difference between replacing the knuckles and, replacing, the whole assembly?
Cost. Yeah. Cost, effort. This is something that you can offer at a service call, and something that you don't have to special order, something that you don't have to wait for the parts, something that you don't have to make sure that you got the right version. So it's just a lot easier just to bolster them for really, and it does pretty much the same thing as you'll see. Can you hear me, Johnny? It looked like you were tapping your ear. Dang it.
It's crackling again.
Yeah, it was crackling.
That mic again. Yeah.
Just going to reconnect and disconnect.
Andy Barlow, nice to see you here.
Let's see. All right. How's that? Can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
We're going to just go for it. So that's the reason, Michael, is that you don't have to order anything. You can do the service at the time of service. A lot of times, it's quite the service to go ahead and remove all of these.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You kind of have in the replacement realm, you kind of have two tiers. You have replace just the knuckle, and then you have to replace the whole assembly, right?
That's correct. That's right. So, and I've actually only done it in 25 years. I've only done it once where I've removed these, And it was such a traumatic experience because they usually don't come off that easy. And then to put another one back, it was just like, what the heck? So, yeah.
So you would be more likely to not just do a knuckle removal. You would do a whole assembly changeover.
Exactly. Yes, I would do the entire thing. That's right. Yep, I would do the entire thing. So, they sell these, hammer shanks and flanges from Renner all day long. You send them samples, they'll send you back a whole assembly. So if I'm replacing anything, why not just do it all? If it's that worn, usually the hammer is going to be worn. So what this does is allows me to do in a service package, like a gold package, where I'm surfacing the hammers, I'm repinning, and boom, I'm going to bolster these knuckles at the same time. And it'll be maybe another $500 repair that I'm adding to it that really makes a big difference. So essentially, because this is compacted, we almost have this, see if we can, I don't know if we can kind of see it, but you almost have kind of a void in there. I could even feel that it's so compressed that right here at the very tip, there's this kind of excess skin. I don't know. It's like we need to take that up. And so there's really 3 ways that I've found of achieving this. So I'm going to show you each one and kind of go over them. And this. So the reality is the easiest, least invasive way of doing this is simply taking a voicing tool with a needle, just a single needle voicing tool. And, I'll show you kind of a real world version of it. So if you have it in the action itself, like this, because this would all, by the way, this whole service would be done with, you're not going to be removing all the parts. So you're just going to be lifting them up and doing this service, whatever it is, whatever you decide. So what you would simply do is one at a time, go through and puncture and loosen that felt so that it is basically expanding and taking up that space. So that is one avenue to do it. I've had mixed success with this, to be honest with you. I've kind of like, all right, it kind of works. I felt like I had to do like 100 pokes to it. And I'm like, geez, this is taking forever. And so, but that is one way of doing it. And I would say that that's probably the least invasive way. That's in that, maybe not invasive, but it's definitely the quickest way in the sense of you don't have to have a whole lot of things to do it. You don't have to have all the materials, just a, voicing tool and puncturing it to kind of basically just expand that white core felt. So that's one way of doing it. I've done that maybe 3 or 4 times and I've not had great success with it. Usually I will go to this method. And this method is kind of crazy. I remember seeing it the first time from my mentor. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But basically what we're going to do with both of these other 2 methods is insert either felt or a thread of some kind inside here to take up that space to give it that curvature once again. And so the way that I was shown was actually, the more I think about it, is kind of a really genius kind of MacGyver way of doing it. And I'm like, looking back, I don't know if I'm like, it's just kind of crazy. Basically, you have your bushing felt of some kind like this, and you would go ahead and instead of cutting a piece, what you do is you simply will tear a piece. Usually, I don't know, it's like that. You tear a piece, and it's usually, I don't know, what is this? You would probably try to make it a little bit thinner than this. This is what, probably want it to be closer to like an 1/8 inch. And what you do from here, at least this is what I was shown. I don't know, Stacy, after I show you, if you've ever seen this before, you basically will take your Zap Gap super glue and you will coat the end of it to basically make a spear. And then, so you'll coat it with this, all up here. And then you'll use your zap gap kicker, which basically makes it dry really quick. And then you'll have this very stiff piece of cloth that you will then sand and form into some kind of a needle. Stacey, you're shaking your head. Is this what you've seen too?
Okay, I haven't seen that spray. What is that spray you use to make it dry quick? Because I've done this before.
Okay. Zip kicker.
Zip kicker.
It's usually sold with this zap gap.
Yeah, because we would use bushing cloth.
These things.
We would use the same cloth.
Okay.
And yeah, it's all about trying to get it in the needle. So we've tried like tape. Yeah.
Okay, so this is no needle. Stacey, this is no needle.
That's really cool.
I made it. This is the idea behind this, which I don't know. This is, again, with my mentor's old school. He basically says, we are making this felt into the needle. So from
That's
here.
That's brilliant. I've never seen that.
That's
a cool hack.
So from here, essentially what we're going to be doing is, I'll just kind of show you on this one, is sticking it through like this and pulling it out the other side. And then look at that. Nice and round. And that money, that's so great.
That is the coolest thing. That's
so
cool.
It's simple, it's easy.
So,
you do the same thing right here. You would just go woo, woo.
So instead of flange bushing, you're knuckle bushing.
That's right. So that's really the way you do. And you would do this 88 times and charge what you will. But this basically just revitalizes that whole thing. I mean, you can see it now. I'll kind of go. Yeah, this is kind of side by side what we want. And you take that little string out. That bugs me. You would just cut it flush.
That's brilliant.
So there you go.
I was using reg yarn and a needle.
Well, I'm going to show you that technique next. So, but now it's rounded. And so now that jack can go ahead and escape that. It's nice and round. We don't have that flattened area. And this is something that now you can do very easily. Again, you'll get this bushing cloth. You don't cut it with a razor blade. You want to tear it. You want to tear it because we don't want hard edges. You don't want to cut it. You want to tear it because we want the soft edges. That's the key. When you cut something with the razor blade, you're creating harder edges. And so by tearing it, we have these soft edges that just kind of mold to everything. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this piece. And the third technique, which is another technique which works really great too, is getting one of these crazy looking yarn needles like this. And a little bit of yarn. I got the white kind because, I mean, why not? So basically, I will just thread this through like so. And then go to my knuckle. This is a little bit easier because, again, this is a nice, nice needle. It's easy to use. Simply go through like this. Pull it nice and tight. And then I'll cut it. Again, it's rounded now, same effect. See that nice curvature to it? Easy. To be honest, I would say that this is the quickest and easiest method to doing this. This yarn is just a simple yarn. It's nice and compresses easily. It took me a while to get it through that stupid needle, but once I got it through there, I was good. But this is nice because it's stiff, unlike this trick where you're constantly kind of having to sand it and making it go just right. This needle is constant and it's easy to just quickly push through and go through the whole thing just like that. I don't know if one of your questions is going to be next, but I thought about the same thing. I've actually never done it. I don't know if I could. No, I don't think I could. You'd have to go one at a time. I was going to say, is there a way to thread it through all the way? No, there's not. You'd have to go thread it through one at a time.
Yeah, because they're not necessarily going to line up where that void is.
Exactly. Exactly. So you would just simply go through. Again, this is a nice new. Yep. Easy peasy. Then again, I take razor blade. I pull it tight so it's right there. And I'll take a nice razor blade. I just want this to be extra clean and crisp. No problem. But that, my friends, is how you bolster knuckles. 3 techniques, easy to use. It's a great service. It really makes a big difference. And again, is another one of those tips or those skills that you should know how to do. Because honestly, Michael, now that you see it, that's a heck of a lot faster than ordering.
Well, what's going to be interesting, because I'm going to have to look at my chickering to see how much the knuckles need something like that. And I know how to do it, and that'll be an easy fix.
Yeah. That it's a very once you know how to do it, it's a very easy fix. This cost me, I think, I don't know. I think the yarn, I got more yarn than I will never. I mean, I had no idea how cheap yarn was until I went to Hobby Lobby just to go do this lesson. It was like $5 and this giant thing of yarn. I'm like, okay, that's done. I'm never going to need to need more than that. And then the needle is like 50 cents or whatever it is.
And to your point, you can easily have that in your repair kit. And if you need to do onesie twosies, even if it's not a full set, it's easy to pull out of your bag and do.
Absolutely. And you will find, because when we work on pianos, what area of the piano is needing more of this than others? The mid. The mid is usually going to be flatter than the others. And so you might find that, hey, I'm having to not do as much. I'll have to use a little bit different technique in the mid versus the higher treble and the bass. But just now that you at least know the process, it's again, a simple service that makes a big difference. And I think that we've, as technicians, have kind of forgotten some of these simple services that do make a big difference. And this is just one of them for you all to have. And again, I would say this is a service that probably adds $200 to $500 to the overall ticket, price of the, and so that's, again, it's money well worth it, because the way it really does make it feel that much crisper and cleaner. It just has that nice feeling to it after you've rounded those knuckles. And it's just, we've had a great response for all the years that we've done that a great response from our customers. Questions about knuckle bolstering. Knuckle bolstering. By the way, to do this, I literally took this one off the Action model and I just put it in a clamp all day so that it would just compress it. Actually, yeah, it's these poor Action models have been they've been the guinea pigs for a lot of things. Yeah, we're going to be talking on Wednesday about stuff that the reality is we're working on it hardcore here at Artisan, and it's rethinking how we do service and offering things like this, and more the psychology that we're finding that our customers are, that we as people kind of engage in, and what really matters and why and how to present it. And so we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday. So we're we're introducing some of the things that we're going to be showing as far as Artisan's new offerings, showing you all that. And then in the weeks following, we'll probably show you all of those. Hey, this is how you do this new service that we're offering. Did I see a question, Stacy?
Oh. Andy was asking whether you use any glue after you run the yarn through there, or do you just cut it flush and it'll stay?
I cut it flush, no glue. I cut it flush. Yeah, that's just
Thanks,
so
Michael.
nice.
I did something to my screen and I couldn't see. I'm like, I can't get back to the normal.
Yeah, I need a nice, sharp razor blade. I have this janky clippers to do it, but that is just so nice and perfectly round, and it just takes 30 seconds. Not even. It's just a quick And this will be great for a long time until maybe you have to do it again. But by that time, you're probably having to replace that hammer.
Yeah, you're probably going to get to action replacement or assembly replacement by that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I did look up on Shaft just what the price of those knuckle extracting pliers that they sell. So they sell those for $40. I like the idea of doing this refurbishment, with the yarn and or the bushing cloth a lot better than buying a $40 tool and then having to try to replace the dumb thing.
Exactly.
When
no
I've
new tool.
When I've done it in the past, I've had to heat up the glue, kind of heat up everything, and then use that tool. And again, you're so likely to hurt one of the center pins, break something. It's a feat. And so if you tried it, because I've done it both ways. I've done it in the past where I've just plucked them off and tried to push them in, but then you have to like clamp them, figure out how you're going to clamp them in and glue them just right. And then what I did, oh my gosh, that's right. Once I did this and I clamped it and then I undid the clamp, and guess what? The stupid thing was flat again because I just clamped it. Jeez, I forgot about that. Thanks for that reminder, Michael. Jeez.
You're welcome. It's free service.
I've actually never seen anyone just replace the knuckles. And I've never seen just that done.
Yeah, it's a rare thing. I've heard of people doing it. I've done it, but it was like it was back in the day when I was working with a company early on in my career. I was apprenticing. So I didn't know, you know what I mean? I was just like, sure, I'll do whatever. But looking back, I'm like, why did we do that?
David, do you ever just spot check a few knuckles when you voice it with the needle? If you're just going to do some minor voicing, check a few knuckles, explain what you're doing, or do you just go for the yarn or the felt automatically?
So the yarn and so usually, again, we've kind of veered away of offering this service just because over the years, I think sometimes as you grow, you kind of need to reset and go back to the, and that's what we're in the process of doing right now. But the reality is we're only doing this if we're doing a bigger service. We're doing a little bit. And so this wouldn't be at the time of a tuning service where I'm already voicing. It would be more of like, okay, I'm doing all this major work. But what I would typically do is in that midsection where it needs the yarn, I would do the yarn because it's going to be the same for everyone. You're adding this much to every one. But then as we taper to the edges where it's not as flat, I will use this technique with the voicing tool and kind of smoosh up that felt. Because if I did this, the yarn trick, it would be too much. It would be, we have this like elongated knuckle, and that would not be good.
So David, you would consider this a part of a regulation package where you're doing this type of knuckle repair within the regulation because you want the knuckles to be rounded so that when you start setting, that spacing of the jack to the knuckle, yep, all of that alignment happens at that point.
Exactly, because this is going to change. It would be a great service if it didn't change anything else, but this is going to change your let off, your jack alignment, all of that. It's going to change so many little things that it's not like we can just offer this, do it and be done. We have to do
so it's kind of in the same realm of hammer shaping, that you're going to shape the hammers before you space and align the hammers to the strings. It's kind of in that same realm, right?
This would be the service that if I'm doing a 2-day service, this would be one of the 3 or 4 things that I'm doing in the shop the day before I take it to the customer. I'd be surfacing the hammers, I'd be lubricating everything, I'd be repinning, and then I would be bolstering the knuckles.
Right.
And so that's what I would be doing with my time. So it's probably $1,000 or $1,500 worth of work, really, right here with all those 4 things. If I'm repinning everything and stuff like that. And so the reality is, these are expensive, once you add them all up, this is a lot of work.
So to your point, this is part of a bigger package unless you're doing a one-off repair on a knuckle that happens to be individually damaged, not the rest of them are.
That's correct.
Reason.
Yeah, this would be part of a bigger service to offer. If you wanted to do if you are noticing that these knuckles are super flat and it has this weird spongy aftertouch let off feel, then maybe forego some other services and just take this to the shop and do this. That I've done stuff like that before. Because what we want to do as technicians is go into the situation and know that this customer may only want a couple things. This customer may want everything. You're going to have to decide that pretty soon, pretty quickly, and then offer things. Okay, because our job is to move these pianos closer to where it should be, and it may take 50 different trips, or it may take one big one. Depending on what this customer wants to do. And so I've found, and I'm finding more and more, that it isn't even necessarily the money that is holding them back from things. It is that at times, but it's the time commitment of their busy schedules. I'll talk about this a little bit more on Wednesday. That's the thing that we're noticing, this shift in our culture, that it's not even that it's going to cost an extra however much. It's like, well, will I have to take time off work? Will I have to be here for that? Will I have to do this? Wait, you can get it all done right now. Yes, do it. I don't care how much. It's kind of a different world. So, and I don't know if it's the fact that we have more 2-income households. Both parents have jobs. Could be that's been more on the upright, the rise. Whereas before there was one parent that was always there. It didn't really matter if but that's changing.
And that kind of goes back to your discussions the other week on service, that this is, you're looking at booking something, maybe have an extra half hour to an hour baked into your schedule so that you can offer extra items to do extra maintenance or miscellaneous repairs or whatever.
That's right. That's exactly it. It's I think that we want to do our part in educating the customers, because most everybody thinks if I have a piano, I just need to have it tuned annually. That's it. And we want to steer the conversation into, no, you need to have servicing done annually and servicing done routinely and maintenance, and using these terms as opposed to just tuning. And so that's why we're making a big shift as a company to kind of do some more of that.
Yeah, it's like your tuning is like your oil change on your car, but that is not, you have to do more than that. You can't just oil change your car for 10 years. There's like these other things that need to be looked at. And so a lot of people they're not taught that when they're buying a piano, because the piano stores are there to sell a piano. And a lot of times they're new and they don't need it for a while. Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, that's a good point, that new pianos, while they need to be tuned maybe multiple times that first year or two, they don't really need a whole lot of other service until it gets, what would you say, David? 5 years, 4 years?
Mark.
Yeah.
I would say the 5-year mark is really when they start needing to have it. But this goes in line with what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday.
Yeah, piano prep is a thing too, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to thinking, I'm trying to find an example of a service that is always needed no matter what. So it's like, if I asked, like, how do you know if a barber, how do you know when somebody needs a haircut? Everybody always needs a haircut every single day. Your hair's always growing. There's always more to do. There's always this, there's always that, there's always this. Pianos are the same way. We need to get more in that mindset. Whether I'm just like touching up a little bit of lost motion here, whether I'm going ahead and lubricating these and adding this, whether I'm doing this, there is always work that we can and should be doing to these pianos. But we've kind of pigeonholed ourselves. And even in our name, what are we? We're piano tuners. You just go and tune pianos? No, that's not what we do. We're piano servicing, Pianocraft. We need to move the conversation and just be like, no, we're going to do something and move that piano into excellence every time and keep it there. And so that's what we at Artisan are moving towards. It's not just, we don't want to be a tuning factory. We want to be somebody that is going and making it so that piano evolves with you, that stays where you need it to be, because no matter what, whether the piano is being played or not, those parts are falling in on themselves. They are not, they go out of alignment, and we want, or the fact that we need to inspect the pianos. I went to a piano, it was a couple months ago, but in the time that we were here last in this, they'd been infested with some kind of a bug, and it had been 5 years. And they said, well, I hadn't been playing it for a long time, so I thought I didn't need to have it serviced. If they would have had regular service done every year, we would have found this and said, hey, we need to figure out what's going on here.
I like to compare it to getting your teeth clean. If you wait 6 years to get your teeth clean, there's a lot of work, but if you go, twice a year, it's quick in and out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah. And I've used the oil change too. Those both make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's all about, it really is all about the messaging. And, we've talked a lot about this, about what is your messaging? What is it you're trying to relay to people? And do you want to be somebody, and this is fine if you do, but there's going to be people that are always going to be like, I'll come in and do a tuning. Come and do a tuning and get out, and I'll do that. That's fine. Always going to find those people. But they're not going to know how to bolster knuckles. They're not going to know how to do all this stuff, and you will. And you will be able to offer these services and just say, no, I don't tune your piano. I maintain your piano. That's what you call me to do. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because again, I'm pretty hot and heavy on this right now, because I think that there's not a lot of technicians that are qualified as they used to be. And so if we're going to wake up 10 years from now and be like, wow, yeah, all these pianos are just getting tuned. They all need so much more. And so it starts with us saying, this is what we want to do. This is what we should be doing. And this is how we communicate that, so that it changes it to what it should be. So we don't tune pianos. We maintain them. We service them. Tuning's a portion of it, small portion of it.
Well, and that kind of goes back to the car analogy, in that if you go into a dealership, say like you have get your car serviced, and even oil change places that are the quickie places, a lot of times they'll give you a little checklist that says, hey, we looked at XYZ, and here's what we see. Is it green, yellow, or red?
Yeah.
Is it everything's in tolerance? Hey, these are starting to get worn, like tires, for example.
Yeah.
And they're about ready to go, so they're starting to be red. So it's kind of the same way when we want to present to the customer, hey, these are green, yellow, or red, and you need to be aware of this.
You need to be aware of this. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I like the car analogy, because they both are about the same financial investment for a lot of customers. Mm-hmm. So they kind of get it. And when you say like your car needs that 50K mile service and the 100, it's kind of like you need this, like you do need a package after 5 or 10 years. You do. It's just part of maintaining the piano.
Well, it's like a car needing a timing belt. Mm-hmm. That's usually 100,000 mile service type of time frame. Well, that's like a 10-year piano,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
20-year piano that you're going to have some significant service at some point.
Yeah.
Well, in those oil techs, they'll come in and give you a checklist, just like Michael said. And hey, you know what? It looks like your air filter might need replacing. You want to go ahead and do it now? Extra $30. Sure.
Yes.
So
and
they're good
right
at
now, Robert, that right now thing, it's a thing. It's working. And so I would even suggest, since you guys can schedule your own tunings, like if you get a new customer, put them at the end of the day where you have a little buffer time. So you're not like, you wouldn't feel rushed to go to the next appointment, but then you can have that discussion, be like, I can just do it right now. I have time. That's a really good thing. If you can always put those new customers at the end.
Yeah. If it's under, especially if it's under $100, is what I'm finding right now. Because I have the time. I'm like, I'm already here. I would love to do these two things. Can I show you? And this is what it would do and make a big difference on the way it plays. I'm here now. I can do it. If I came back and did it on a separate visit, it'd be about $250. But because I'm here, it'd be about $95. Do you want to do it? Yes. You can do it now? Perfect. Yes. The tuning itself was only $195, and they just added $95 to it. That's a pretty 50% right there. And it'll take an extra 30 to 45 minutes. And it needed it. That's the core thing. It needed it. So in this case, it was is what we're terming an action calibration, which we're going to talk about on Wednesday. So it's just changing some of the things that we're saying and presenting them in a way that makes sense. I think that technicians are not great, and I've had to work a lot at it because I fall into this too, of communicating the benefits and not what we're doing, because we just geek out, and sometimes we're kind of weird when it comes to this stuff, but just saying it will play easier, it will sound better. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. But you don't know all the cool things I'm going to do to make it do that. I don't care.
Well, and that kind of goes back to, Tim Barnes and his discussion of Gazelle and how they present estimates through his methodology. It's very similar structure. Yeah. That you're not trying to go into the weeds unless they ask of, all the technical nuances of it. You're really trying to give them, what is the experience change? Hey, the keys are playing soft here. And here demonstrate, hey, the knuckles are a little flat. I'll be able to make that better and make the keys more responsive, have a better touch at the end of it.
It will have a better touch if I can do this. It'll be more consistent. It'll have a smoother feel. Right now it feels muddy. It feels muddy, and I can make it smoother.
I think for me, it's like algebra. There's an order of operations, and I haven't done it enough to know, okay, I can tell there's a problem here, but what is it? Is it the knuckle? Is it the voicing? Is it the let off? And which order do I do it in so that it becomes second nature? Because it's like, oh yeah, now what do I do in the parentheses here? And do I carry this over to the other side? I'm not exactly sure, just because I haven't done it enough. And that's, I shouldn't say a stumbling block, but right now it's sort of an information overload. Okay, I've got all these great pieces, but am I going to get it done in order so I can do it in a timely manner and actually improve it?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am personally. I'm just kind of.
No, I think that's true. And I think that early on, you need to look at what the spec, you have to look at the visual cues. Are we out of spec? Is the hammer, is the blow distance correct? Is the let off correct? Is the drop? Is the back checking? Is the hammer rounded or is it flat? Is the knuckle flat? Look at these visual cues and then just be like, okay, what do I like about and this is a good way of doing it. Why do I like the treble and the bass better? What are in line that are not in line in the mid? So that's usually a good way of doing it, testing it out. Yeah, I thought today was going to be a little bit of a shorter lesson, and that's okay. So if you guys have any questions about this or anything else, this is just open Q&A for now.
I got a question for Andy. What have you been working on, Andy, lately? What have you gotten to tune or service or things like that?
I've been working on keeping my head above water. No, just summer's been busy. Little traveling, just on top of keeping up with work. But I'd say where I am with the business is I got Gazelle to a decent spot. I finally got some time to figure it out a little bit. And I finally got my Google ads going. And so I just started them 4 days ago, and I've got 4 new clients already.
Woohoo! Way to go.
So I'm really excited. I might be getting more than I can handle. We'll just see. I might slow it down, but so I'm really excited about that. I got a church that has multiple pianos that they're wanting me to do for them. So, but I'm still kind of in that place where I'm just only offering kind of the basic tuning services and
cleaning, right?
And cleaning, at least from what I'm publicly offering. If I'm there and I feel like there's something I could do confidently, I might offer it to them. But
Sure.
so I'm just kind of taking that slow approach of like, as I gain new skills, I'll publicly offer new things. But
That's good.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good about this. I just see the next several months as like really settling into like a good groove of like learning how to service the customer well and manage the business at like a small scale.
Yeah.
Once I get comfortable there, then like maybe take the next step. So that's kind of where I've been.
That's great. That's great. You doing more cold plunges?
Yeah. Did it yesterday.
So awesome. Andy, make sure when you go to these new customers, make it sound like it's just protocol to schedule a year out. Be like, okay, let me just get you on the schedule for next year.
Cool.
You know, does this day work for you? And I'll remind you if like start that. That's how you grow it. You do that for a full year, all of a sudden you see the next year and you see some appointments already on there, and it's the best feeling in the world. That is the best thing you can do where you're at.
That's awesome. Okay, I'll do that. I did have a question about churches. So when you get a church that has like multiple pianos that they want you to take care of,
yeah,
how do you educate them in terms of like, do you sort of lead them down a direction like, hey, you know, we typically like they've got a nice grand piano in their sanctuary, but then they've got a couple practice pianos choirs. So anyway, I'd love your thoughts on how to.
So it's an education game, and it makes sense when you actually are telling them, hey, schools and churches are notoriously difficult to keep pianos in tune. Why? Because they have a hard time keeping the temperature and the humidity at a normal, realistic level. So I'm sorry, but you're either going to be spending more money on your heat and AC or more money spending on keeping your pianos in tune. You let them know that ahead of time, and just like, you know, as you're educating them. And that way they're like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Most of our churches recommend about 3 times a year, quarterly, every season. And just kind of put that into the budget. Maybe not the practice room or the choir room pianos, definitely the sanctuary one.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would recommend, and I would even say, because they usually know when their Easter program and Christmas program is. So be like, let me get you on the schedule right before that, because I fill up pretty quick. So that way you'll make sure that piano is ready. And then you can schedule them like even like that whole season out, but always the Easter and the Christmas one. And then whatever other one, you know, just to maintain. But that really helps to just get them on the schedule. They usually know when those themes are coming up. So.
Okay. And then do you like offer church discounts? Like, you know, like if I'm going in one day, one location, 3 pianos, you know, and it's a customer I'm going to get multiple times a year. I don't know. So I was wondering what I did offer them a discount just because I wanted the job. So.
We usually do church and school discounts because of that very thing. We're redoing our pricing structure currently. And so instead of offering the same amount of services for the same amount of money, we're saying we'll give you a discount because we're not doing as much over here. But you're having them tuned every quarter, so we don't have to do as much. So that's the way we're approaching it. Whereas before we'd be like, you get the same thing, everything, and we're do it half as much.
Yeah.
So we're saying, you know, we'll do half as much. We'll cut it down by whatever, 40%, 30%, but we're also doing less work.
Okay.
So if you need more work, you know, that again, we'll go over that. I think we're going over that portion on Wednesday, kind of this new concept.
Is it Wednesday or Friday?
Friday. Thank you. Friday. Yeah. We kind of, because we're in a way, we're kind of devaluing ourselves at some point. And so trying to make something that really works where we can help schools and churches out, but also not set a precedent or expectation that's unrealistic.
Okay.
Because we're still coming out of that. And granted, early on when I was doing it, we got a lot of churches and a lot of schools, but we were at a crazy low price point to get it. So
I offer.
Be
I
careful.
basically told them I'd give them $50 off per piano. That might be too much. So I was kind of, that's like $150 off the whole thing, but
what's your price point at right now?
It's at $225 for a standard tuning and like $275 if I have to like raise it.
Yeah.
And then I do kind of like.
You're at a fairly healthy margin. Doing that $50, I think, would be okay.
I think you're right now, and you have to look like, is my goal to like build up clients too? Yeah. I mean, that's, it's a fine line. So it doesn't sound like it's too low, but yeah, that's exciting though. That's exciting news. I'm so glad to hear that, Andy.
Yeah, I'm encouraged. I was like, I felt like the month of June, I felt like I wasn't really moving things forward. And then I finally kind of was able to give it some attention. And so I feel like I'm in a good spot and good. I'm encouraged.
And just so you all know, July, I was just telling David this today, July is one of the slowest months for pianos, for the whole piano industry. And I'm not just talking servicing, but definitely the stores and everywhere. So that's why conventions in July, the PTG, and that's why, cause like, we're just not as busy and you have to put a lot more effort in to stay busy at that point. But that's normal. And I would say March is the other one. I feel like March is always it too. But So, but this one more time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're ever thinking next year, hey, this is the time that you do your vacations. This is the time you do all of this stuff. This is the time we're going to be doing training, stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, I literally this morning had 7 people reschedule because they're like, I'm going out of town last minute. I'm so sorry. I mean, it just is the way it is. So you're just like, okay, it's all right. You just roll with it. It's just July. It's July. It's here.
7?
7. 2 of those people that called during this live were like, I have to reschedule tomorrow. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just because they had an emergency or they had family come in or it's
Stacy's great at those. She's great at saying, hey, well, that's, can we get a neighbor or a family member to let us in to do it? Because we would hate to have to charge you a 24-hour notice and we're at that 24-hour notice. So,
actually, David gave me that idea because I was like, I don't know what to do. Because before, you guys, I used to always be like, okay, that's all right. Let's just reschedule you. And I just make sure I got them rescheduled. But doing that, pushing into them a little and be like, well, you don't even have to be there. A neighbor could let you in. Or we could just come in. You can trust us. Like these kind of things that you say can sometimes like save it. You do save like half of them that way. You do save half of them if you can talk to them on the phone and they're not just like texting you. You're like, so yeah, they're good ideas. They do work. So
yeah.
Speaking of them not being there, when you finish, do you send a little proof, like a text of you by their piano with a thank you that I'm finished, anything like that?
No, we
email them and
we just send them a picture of like time to pay us. No, no, we just send them the invoice.
They say, go ahead. Sorry.
Take the dog for ransom.
He sends a picture.
That's a thought.
Or
no, that's a good idea. I think that's great. If you can do that, it's just, yeah. I think that whenever, I've had some weird situations, and I'm just like, I had one the other day, and it was just like the owner. She came in, let me in, and she's like, "I'm gonna go out and take my dog for a walk. My 2 sons are sleeping in the next room, and so and so and so and so, and they're 10 and 8, and I'll be back later." I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
Add a babysitting fee to your team.
Yeah, exactly. You want me to make him some Eggo waffles? That was kind of interesting for sure.
Yeah, that's a little different. I've had a lot of people lately be like, I have to make sure my dog attacks people, so I got to make sure the dog's on a walk. And I'm like, And then they're like, you have to come between this hour and this hour. You have to, because if the dog's here, it'll attack your tech. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to send my tech.
I'm baffled. I can't imagine leaving a grown stranger man alone in my house with my sleeping children.
Nope.
That's crazy.
They literally, like, at one point where the older one, the 11-year-old, like kind of like shuffled off. He's like, Mom, and like I'm like, she went for a walk. I'm tuning your piano. Like, what?
That would have fly back in the 90s, but not today.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, whoa, this is.
If they were high schoolers, they just slept straight through it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just like, it was bizarre. It was bizarre. Maybe she was just outside. She was gone for a while. So, yeah, it was weird. Anyways, you're gonna get some weird situations.
Trust. They trust you.
Oh, go ahead, Robert.
No, you've built up trust.
Yeah, I guess. In the 30 seconds I was there.
Can I ask a quick question about restringing?
Yeah.
I've been practicing just like breaking strings on my piano and restringing, like just in the really high treble. And man, it's a lot harder than I thought, kind of getting started. So I've done a few and they're okay. But I think the thing that I'm struggling with is, like on my piano, whoever like strung it originally must have been like just amazing at it, because like every single tuning pin is just all uniform and beautiful. Yeah. And what I'm struggling with is like figuring out how to like have the string the exact length so that when I turn those pins, the holes are like, is that a thing I should care about on one-off like restringing at a customer's house?
The holes being in the same direction, that's another level.
Yeah.
So getting getting the right amount of coils, that should be a go-to. That should be something you're shooting for.
Okay.
But having all the holes line up a certain way, I mean, that's another layer, and that's easier to do, to be honest, when you're stringing it to begin with, because you're manipulating one versus the other and pulling one a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And you get in such a rhythm. And what kind of a piano is it?
It's a Yamaha U1.
Geez, Yamahas. I don't know what they do to them. They have, they're all so exactly the same.
CNC machines perfection. That's what it is.
Yeah, the same. They shoot out the strings to the stringer, and they're pre-cut to the length that no matter what, it's always going to come to the same amount. So
when I was in the factory, they could restring a whole piano in 20 minutes. Yep. And I was like, what in the world? And I saw it and I was
like, you still have the machine?
I was like, I'm out of it. We're all out of jobs. No way. It's incredible.
Well, that's really helpful then, because I thought I had to get it like looking that way. I feel like okay, like the coils are turning out good, and
the thing you need to watch out for are making sure that there's the right amount of coils, that those coils are cinched up nice and tight, and that you have that tuning pin that's not either too far pushed in or too far out.
Yeah.
Those are the three things to really be focusing on. Hey, you get extra credit if somehow the Beckett's and everything are lined out with the others. But
say the Beckett's too. Then it looks. Then it looks.
Yeah,
nice.
That's true. Cinching the Beckett's too. So.
Yeah.
So Andy, I'm going to give you and look up on YouTube for this technician. She's out of, I think, Kansas City, and she's a longtime RPT. And also a tester for RPTs. Her name's Lucy Erlacher, and she has a YouTube videos that she created over the past 2 to 3 years. There's multiple ones on stringing and splicing, and she explains it very, very well and gives you, what tools you need, how she comes about for the proper length of the string,
That's
everything.
Cool.
And she does a very good job of explaining it.
Okay.
So you use that as a reference. I've been using her as a reference. I actually got to meet her in St. Louis when she was doing stuff related to hammer shank replacements. She's fabulous. And I get to listen to her for a full day here in 2 weeks on vertical regulation.
She's teaching.
Yeah, she's teaching a full day thing on vertical regulation. Soup to nuts, the whole regulation. So yeah,
she has a whole. I've seen some of hers, Michael. She's very good. I think she's at the University of Missouri.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where she's at.
I love that you had that resource just like right there.
Right there.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, because she does one on both string replacement on a vertical and a string replacement on a grand.
Oh yeah.
So do you guys? I've seen some people like use the coil makers, but then I watched like your video, David, from a long time ago, and you just kind of made the Beckett and just go from there.
Both are valid. I've seen technicians go both ways. It's whatever's personal preference, and you can create a good Beckett and create a consistent coil.
Yeah, I found that I like fewer tools. That's why I just choose to do it that way. I just like, hey, I could just do this really quickly. It's easy.
Well, what I have found is like once you get to that spot where, especially, well, no, like, there's certain parts of the piano where to get enough string to like turn it, you're like right up against there. And it's like really hard to use that coil maker right up against the.
Yeah.
Yes, especially those middle pins.
Oh.
And I find my windings are not really tight. I get a little gap in there and I can't get the coil lifter in the middle tuning pin. I don't know. That's an issue I've had.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that Andy, it's just the practice of it. I mean, if you spent a day, if you just spent a whole day and just did it for 8 hours, you would have it down.
Yeah.
Because that would be like 10 years worth of doing it right there.
Yeah, I did it for a couple hours today, and I already feel, because I was like starting to get stressed. Like now that I'm like
I get anxiety with it
going, I'm like, man, if I break a string, I'm screwed. I better learn this.
Did you by chance get the Supply 88 stringing kits? Or no, you already had yours. That's right. I remember you already had yours.
Some. I wish I would have, because they're like much more sleek and
just
super yours is pretty good looking though.
Yeah,
yours
was
you have a good setup, Andy.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids would say, "Yeah, yours slaps. It's good. It's good. It slaps."
Oh, back on one other thing, Andy. I assume that you probably have already been doing this, but at the end of your appointment, asking for Google reviews to get those going.
Yeah. So slowly but surely, I've got about 16 now, and
that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the Denver area, like there's some people that have been at it for a long time that have a lot, but most tuners don't have hardly any.
That's true.
Artisan has 20 in Denver. I've checked.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So that's been really cool. Just to see, like, I'm probably one of the least experienced piano people in the city of Denver.
And yet.
But I have a leg up on some of these people just because I have Google reviews.
Yes, and they're going to see that. And and now you've got those ads running, which most people don't do either. So you're like, you're doing all the things that we would recommend. Oh, so it's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to pick your brain later this month, Andy, on Google ad stuff that you've done.
Oh, gosh. Google ads, man. I need a tutorial on that. I was like praying and hoping I was doing it right. And
well, if you're getting calls,
that's how you know, because you won't get calls if they're not working. So that means they're working, and especially this time of year to have that many.
If you're getting them this time of year, that's huge.
Good. It's good.
Oh, okay, cool. It's good to know.
All right, I'm off to dinner. I will see you on Wednesday. We're going to talk about some of these additions, add-ons, extra services that we're working on doing, and I'll even let Andy in on it, even though we're quote unquote competitors. But I'll let Andy know what we're doing. It's cool.
Hey, there's millions of people here.
I love it. I'm playing with you, brother. I will see you all on Wednesday.
Good to see you all.
Thanks, David. See you.